me now about the third session, Kritika.
So I'm very excited. Just like all of us like a good mystery, we decided we'd start the third session with a mystery because by now children got used to it and they knew that every day these two are going to come in with something dramatic. So again, third session, they checked the timetable. They knew when science was and they were ready in their groups. So we went in and so where we left them in the last session was that nothing happened to the chicken. No sign of beriberi in them. So actually, somewhere even I think just like Eijkman would have felt very dejected, our students were also feeling very dejected. I mean, there was no hope, right?
Deadlock.
Exactly, deadlock. So today we came in and they said, "What are we going to do?" We said, "Okay, we are handing out the next set of cards to you." And this story card had the first line which said, "Suddenly, one day, the chickens got sick for a while and then magically recovered." So two major incidents happening in one line. Suddenly, chicken got sick and then they recovered also magically without nobody intervening. So they were like, what? Huh? Like that. So upon investigation, the card says that upon investigation, Eichmann discovered that it was only the cook who was the only person who was actually interacting with the chicken in this duration of time when they fell sick and they got better. Just 3 lines. And then we asked them, then we said, seems suspicious, doesn't it, in the card itself? Let's interview the cook. Come up with questions to interview him. So we just told him that you as a group, now you know that cook is the only person who interacted with the chicken for that period of time when they fell sick and magically recovered. Now, if you could ask questions to the cook, what would you ask? Okay. So they went around writing questions. And I mean, I don't know if they knew what they're going to do, but they came up with some questions. And then my colleague who was outside walked in and said, so I'm the cook. Ask me what you want. Eichmann has sent me to you and he's told me that you are all here on behalf of him and you are going to ask questions to find out more. I would be happy to answer your questions. And he sat down. So they said initially, hey, you are Eichmann, now how you became cook. But then they got into the game. They said, oh, okay. Then they put on this interviewer's hat and very seriously they asked him, so tell me, what did you do differently? Were you sick when you went in? Where did you bring the rice from? So all these questions that they were asking, our idea as the guides in the session was to not give them too much information, but we were to make it very clear to them through the interview somehow that this cook who was sitting there for the interview was not the cook who was present during this time when they fell sick, as per the story of vitamins also. And it was a substitute cook who was feeding them in this time frame. And this substitute cook had substituted the general actual diet of chicken, which was unpolished rice, to polished rice. But we didn't say anything else. And we made it sound like, this colleague of mine made it sound like, I mean, it's such a silly thing to waste money on polished rice to feed chicken. They're just chicken after all. So he said that, I don't know why this guy did it. So the minute I came in, I stepped back, I reversed their diet and put them back on unpolished rice. We didn't say they became healthy after that. We didn't say that they were sick when they ate polished rice. But these are all inferences we were hoping that these children will pick from their questions and from the understanding that they're gaining from their questions being answered. And it was exactly like we had thought. They asked more and more questions. When they realized it was not him, they asked, this new cook who came, was there anybody in his family who was sick? Was he sick? Did he interact with the chicken in some different form? Like, did he feed them with dirty hands? I mean, these are very silly questions, but still, I mean, it was interesting to see that everybody was opening up. We had full class participation. 17 of them were on fire. They were shooting the cook left, right, center. Ask your questions to the cook.
What did you feed the chickens?
What did I feed the chickens? Okay, that's very interesting. Usually, I feed the chickens some rice.
Do you feed anything than rice to chickens? Which place did you get the rice?
So we got it in different places.
How did you interact?
As I told you, all I did was I took the food in the morning, afternoon and evening. Me along with the other cook as well, who is very healthy, we both just kept the food for the chickens, nothing else we do.
Did you have any illness in that time?
And there was a
they asked, so when they understood that it's polished and unpolished rice, they asked, so when the rice was being polished, so one of them asked, what is the difference between polished and unpolished rice? So then he said the husk is removed. And then, so they asked, is it removed from hand or is it removed from a machine?
Wow.
So then he said that it can be done both ways, but hand is very tough, so machines do it in bulk. Then they asked, so when they are doing it, do they use any chemicals because it's being done in bulk? Is this
Wow.
chemical getting into the
Wow.
the polished rice, causing beriberi? So they really, like, at a point I had to kind of stop their questions. I said, we've already, shot him with questions for more than 10 minutes. Now, whatever you have taken, because they are already exhausted, and they were going back to the same questions towards the end.
Right.
What they had come up with as a theory in their mind at the end of this interaction was that polishing rice adds something to the polished rice.
This is exactly what scientists thought.
Exactly. So actually, me, who had read this whole journey of the discovery of vitamins, could actually see that this group was actually Eijkman. Really, I had 17 Eijkmans in front of me, and they are all thinking that something gets added to polished rice when this husk is removed. And that is causing the disease. It was fantastic for me to watch them think like that. And we ended the session with that feeling. No, I don't think we ended the session. I'm sorry. I think we had another card after that. Summarize the conclusions of the interview. Yeah, we ended it. We didn't do anything post. We just left them with this question. We said, come up with an experiment to test the hypothesis of polished and unpolished rice. So they had understood that polished rice is causing beriberi in the chicken.
But they
When
don't
diet
know.
was,
Yeah, but
they don't know how.
Yeah.
When the diet is flipped back to unpolished rice, they became healthy.
Right.
And they're all left with this thought that polished rice gets something in its body that is causing beriberi in the consumer. So we had told them, as a group, each group has to come up with an experiment using the chicken. They could divide them into 2 groups, 3 groups, whatever, and come up with one experiment for the next session. So they could prepare during lunch break, snack break, whenever they had time, they could think about it.
Wow.
That's where the session 3 ended.